So perhaps Adam, as you start, maybe you could tell the folks who've joined a little bit about yourself, and then we can just hand the screen over to you. You can share your presentation, and then we can get going.
Yeah, beautiful. So I'm a protocol lead over at Flipside Crypto. Been here just over 5 months now. Previous to this, I was a solutions architect at Impstones, building and breaking blockchain nodes all day. So built a lot of validators and RPCs. And so now on the data side, Flipside's doing some really cool things with OnChain and bringing intelligence to foundations and ecosystems as a whole. So we're going to go in and I'll show you kind of who we are, where we've come from, what we're doing today, and why we would appreciate your support and just feedback on our new agentic tool. So, and then I do have Graham Anders on as well. He's with our data science team. He's going to be serving as backup for Q&A during this. So Graham, if you want to give a quick intro of yourself, please feel free.
Yeah, I'm Graham. I have applied math background. I did some work in quant analytics before this, and I've been at Flipside for 3.5, almost 4 years now.
Beautiful. All right, should I just jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, can you all see this?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so just a quick overview of who we are if you're unfamiliar with Flipside. So we do on-chain data. We have a robust data science team, been at this since 2017. So nearly a decade of intelligence experience today. And we're across 40 different, more than 40 different blockchain ecosystems, mostly layer ones and layer twos, starting to work with a lot more protocols in our partnership ecosystems as well. And then you can see here some Web3 and digital asset companies that are leveraging our data like Paxos, Masari, and Coinbase. And then we're trusted by academics and investors like Fidelity, EY, MIT. So all of our data is in Snowflake. And this is where the majority of these individuals are accessing. Let's go one more. So blockchain intelligence is siloed and inaccessible. So we have really worked to try to bring this intelligence to all teams in a very easy to consume manner. So really building out all the data infrastructure for the teams. And just a quick overview of what that looks like. So we ingest, we curate, and then we provide curate and label and provide all of the data in Snowflake. So this is referring to the Flipside data layer here. And then on top of these high quality premium curations, we have just built and released an agentic abstraction layer to that, which we are referring to as FlipAI. So now I'm going to walk you through FlipAI and show you what that's like. So before here, sorry, we will go to a clean chat. So it's just flipsidecrypto.xyz/chat. This is in beta. It is free to access to anybody. So this is a simple user interface that anybody can come here and access all of our premium data shares that currently live in Snowflake that our institutional partners are paying for. So you can come here and actually access all of the high quality curated data today for free. We would love feedback, right? We want as many people to put hands on this as possible. And I'm going to walk you through, kind of show you some examples of how to use it, as there is a little bit of a learning curve, right? If you just go in and you ask this thing some real high level question, it might spit out some answers that don't make a whole lot of sense. So it is important to understand table structures and important to understand the user workflows and kind of go through an iterative process of Q&A with the tool itself and to familiarize yourself and really bring it through. But we went through and created this front end that's very similar that you'll see in other chat, ChatGPT or Claude. And we have some example questions here, whether you're focused on stable coins or token holder analysis. And then you can just type in the question. Now I will come over. We have run an example kind of query to walk you through. And so my engineer, my sales engineer that wasn't able to make the call, went through and asked a few questions. So started with, what data coverage do you have for Bitcoin, the chain? So it goes through and this is accessing all of the on-chain data that we have stored in Snowflake, as previously mentioned. And as it writes, right, and this took a matter of minutes, right, if you're running it live, but just for demonstration's sake, we wanted to do this prior, so because we're limited on time. So it's going to look for the Bitcoin blockchain data tables, right, and we can see that it found the core fact tables, and then runs through, find the table by name. So you can verify all of this information as it goes through, right? And so it shows the Bitcoin data coverage summary, core blockchain data, enhanced analytics data, runs you through some of this. So then the next question he asks is, can you tell me more about clustering data? So again, it goes through, it finds the schema, finds tables by name, and then goes through Flipside data. And this is the cool thing about the system, is that our agents will take your question in English and then turn that into SQL, and you can see and verify all of the SQL. You can also take this, you can plug our MCP. If you don't want to use this agentic front end, you can plug our MCP into Cursor and work there. A lot of more technical individuals will do that. That way they can take this and adjust the SQL and run it themselves. But you're going to see all of our tables and everything broken out here also. And so it's doing all this work for you, right? And then he will ask top 10 clusters by outbound BCC volume in the last 30 days. Again, we see it writing all the SQL, looking at all the tables, and then providing these charts for us, right? And so he went through, he asked quite a bit around Bitcoin, and right, so here's one. What's the typical Bitcoin difficulty over the last 30 days, and when did it last change, right? So these are just some examples of what you can do, and then the key insights that it's going to provide. So if we go over and we look at this other chat, right, and this is another feature of the tool, is that it saves all of your chats here. And if I wanted to share this with another team member, so first I could come down and I could choose the teams feature. And so our organization can have a team of which we share all of our chats. And we can go through, I can go through this iterative process, find one where we created a, sorry, it's loading a little bit slowly. Created an artifact. I did an arbitrum analysis. Maybe we have an artifact here. We'll just say, create me an artifact to showcase this data. Let's let that run. Okay, so while that is running, if I wanted to take all of the work that I did in any of these chat sessions and I wanted to share it with my team, I can simply copy the URL and drop that to a team member, and then they would be able to open it up. They'd be able to look through all of the questions that I asked. They'd be able to go through all of the work that the agents did, look at all of the queries, and then confirm all of the work that I have done. So now this might not be a great example because I ran it on a chat that I had not previously run. Say, create me an artifact showing the most valuable users in Arbitrum over the last 7 days. Okay. Now, with this, what just happened. Okay, that's glitching out a little bit. Graham, not sure what's happening here, but it's
the law of live demos. I've never seen this before.
that happens for sure. All right. So yep. Anyway, the artifacts, when they're created, you can publish them, you can save them. And essentially what it does is give you visuals or graphics around all of the data that you have queried. And so it'll create dashboards for you, and new features that are coming are that your company will be able to create whatever dashboards you want, have those posted in Flipside, and then actually set alerts to ping your team when something exciting happens on chain, and then also update and refresh all of those dashboards moving forward. So this tool is typically used by non-SQL coders, right? Business development, executives, marketing, so that they can go and do a lot of the heavy lifting that the data team would normally do for them. This frees up bottlenecks for the internal teams, and then the more technical SQL heavy users can actually leverage all of our data directly inside of Snowflake, as well as leverage our MCP, just get some keys and plug that into Cursor or whatever other tool you want to work with, and work that way. So that's a quick and dirty. I know we don't have much time, and sorry that the artifact piece broke here. But I think that we can wrap it up here in the interest of time and move to Q&A.
Thank you so much, Adam, for that wonderful presentation. I do have a couple of questions, but I'll let the audience, ask questions first if they have any.
Oh, now the artifact works. Maybe it was it might have been sharing the screen, because the moment I click it, it works just fine.
Right. Do you want to maybe go back and share it again if you like? Otherwise, we can just move on to.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right. So just a artifact example. So this was in my artifacts, one that I ran before. And if we want to view that, so I published this and then I saved it in my artifacts. So I can just leverage the artifact and print out and show, and it has all of the information that I ran in this query. This was an Arbitrum optimism Ethereum kind of competitive analysis going cross chain, and then it'll provide all of the summary, and you can just easily share this with your team, color coded. It's nice to review and share information. So that's just quickly on the artifacts feature there.
Interesting. So unless anybody else has a question, I can just go ahead with the one I had. All right. So Adam, in the talk, actually, Ali has a question. So Ali, I'll actually let you go ahead and ask the question you have.
Thank you, Adam, for the introduction to the tool. My question is mostly around hallucination, because the report you've presented seems like there's a very heavy use of generative AI in generating that report after fetching the data. But how do you prevent the model from hallucinating and putting stuff out of nowhere into that report?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will answer, and then Graham, you fill in anything that I may have missed. So one thing I didn't mention here, just because there's a lot to cover, are workflows. So for all of our partners, we create custom workflows, which is essentially a agentic framework for the agents to follow. So if you're looking for a specific insight, we'll create a workflow for that. That way it calls the specific tables and schemas that we need to ensure accuracy there. It's also based on prompting the tool to really imply intent and get that across to the machine as well, so that it is running exactly what you want. And an example of this is like, if I'm asking for something to give me, like, hey, give me visibility on user retention over the last 6 months, that the inference of that question might be, okay, the last 180 days, or it might be the last 6 months from today's date. And then it can give you slightly different answers based on the specificity of the question that you're asking. So if you really want to ensure that there's no hallucination, one, you tell it like, hey, this needs to come from Flipside tables to ensure that it's not going out, because this also has web search. So you can go and search the web just like with ChatGPT, leverage information from other sources as well. And we have live query that just came to the tool as well, making it more powerful for that. But on the intents and on the workflow, so calling the workflow, ensuring that it is calling the Flipside tables, and then the question. So if I wanted 6 months, I might say, hey, going back 180 days from today's date, and then it has more specificity there. And so these are all ways to ensure that you don't have any hallucination. You can also take the SQL and then leverage our information in Snowflake and just drop it in there to confirm the queries in the tool as well. So this isn't to replace analytics teams internally, but rather empower them to internal business units to work faster and take a lot of that heavy lifting off of the internal data team, and then they can leverage all the data infrastructure and work that we've done so that the technical teams can work faster as well. But Graham, is there anything I missed there?
No, I think you did a good job. I think it's important to stress that, you know, the tool has been taught with all of the metadata and all of our GitHub docs and all of the information around the table schemas and the column names and the information that would be included in it. So basically being as specific in your request as possible reduces hallucinations. And then the fact that we return the SQL is another layer of us being at least transparent with what the agent is doing. So it's not a complete black box of what, you know, you ask it a question and it just spits something out. It's like, here's all the steps I took to think about it. Here's all the SQL we ran, and you can interrogate it. And then you can ask it follow-up questions like, I disagree with this. Why did you run SQL like this way? Why did you aggregate this way? Because it's all exposed to you. Most of the hallucinations we see are caused by, I would say, vague questions that kind of trips up the agent, where you might ask it, you know, what's the swap volume on Uniswap? But you don't tell it what chain, what token pair, you know, what date range, things like that, where, you know, meme coin token prices might fluctuate and cause, you know, a random token to appear like the volume super high. But that's just a meme coin pricing, and it just throws the agent into a loop. So being as specific as possible as like this chain, this token pair on this protocol typically remediates a lot of the hallucinations.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, both of you.
Yeah, and for the correctness, it's great that, you know, all the tables and all that data is there for somebody to verify that. Do you expect moving forward that analytics teams are going to, at some point in parallel, just make sure that whatever, you know, is being prompted is check it out for correctness? Or is there some sort of a parallel workflow that you plan on, you know, creating, which automatically gives you a quick sense of, you know, how sort of correct the data is, you know, from a UX standpoint?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's interesting because people will use Dune, and much of that data is not correct at all, right? Many of the dashboards are not correct; they're not updated, right? It's all community curations, and people just blindly trust. But when it comes to agentic systems, people are inherently skeptical. It's like, I don't trust it. It hallucinates. It does this. It does that. It's like, but you're trusting all of this other data that nobody's verifying. That you're just like, oh, it's a trusted source, but it's actually not that correct, right? So who's going and verifying all the dashboards on Dune? Who's going and verifying all the data on DeFi Llama? Not many people are doing that. Now, we do recommend that you verify. And the analysts that are using this tool, right, they are seeing that it is speeding up their ability to work by like 5 to 10x. So what would take them an entire day to go through and try to understand and find an insight, they can now do in like 30 minutes. So it just enables them to work much quicker. And then they can take all the SQL and they can go and they can verify it in the same manner of which they have done always, right? And so we're not saying, hey, blindly trust the tool. We're saying leverage the tool to better understand our tables, to work faster, to enable your business units to go through an iterative process to find the insights for themselves before bothering you as the data team internally, right? So that you don't have that you're not sitting there just like being the bottleneck for this ticket queue for all these internal insight requests. They can do a lot of that work for them. But yeah, we do encourage everybody, because this is still in beta, it's still improving, and this is already much improved over the last couple months. And by the end of the year and into next year, it will continue to get better and better and better. So we encourage people to use it, to give us feedback. If you don't like it, or you have any questions or concerns, like hit us up and we'll walk you through it and we'll help you understand how to use it. But it is interesting to us just to see how many people are like, oh, this is terrible, oh, it's wrong. And it's like, one, you asked it a really vague question, just like Graham gave an example of, and then you did nothing else, and you're just like, oh, it wasn't perfect right off the bat. And it's like, well, if you actually know what you're doing, if you're an analyst that spends time writing SQL and analyzing on-chain data, use this tool and you're going to be able to do much more, much faster.
Awesome. I think Marshall has a question in the messaging section. Maybe Adam, you can check it out over there.
Marshall, yeah, you can ask transaction or user level. We curate data all the way down to its rawest form. Transaction logs, traces, anything that is emitted on chain, we will curate and store in Snowflake. And the agent has access to all of that. So you can ask questions about certain events that are emitted, transaction level detail, user level aggregates, token level detail. We have prices for tokens. Basically, we try to curate as much as possible.
Have you thought about this from like a forensic standpoint of like the use case of tracing specific wallet addresses, monitoring wallet addresses and transactions, or is that not something you've really catered to?
We've played around with it a little bit. I think there was the recent in the last couple of months, there was a hack or an exploit where a wallet was drained. And so we were just curious. We asked our agent, what happened, who's this wallet, distributing the funds to? Can you give us some sort of like cluster analysis of what they're interacting with, what they're doing? And it got pretty good. It didn't do a full cluster, but it was able to identify the list of wallets that, it had sent funds to. It just basically was telling us that it was only transferring to these wallets. It wasn't interacting with contracts. It was simple transfers. Every transfer was for like the same amount. It was just programmatically sending, whatever it was, like $1,000 to 1,000 wallets. And then we verified it on chain and it was correct. I think there is, a future where we can kind of dig down that hole and create like a custom workflow or a custom tool that we can plug into our agent that has that like specific trained capability. But right now it's basically asking an agent against raw data.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great question. Then we have a question from Raza as well. Raza, you want to just go ahead and ask the question? Just once again for the audience as well.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Hey, Adam. Great tool. Couple of questions I have. First of all, I think I'm clear on the on-chain forensic investigations. So another question is, does it have, what's the latency, like your live feed data feeds versus historical analysis capabilities of this tool?
Yeah, so latency, all of our data tables are updated anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, depending on the chain, the complexity, and the level of curation. So everything is up to date. It is not, live for, high frequency trading, stuff like that. But yeah, everything is up to date. And out of US East 1 in Snowflake. So from a latency stance when you're pulling, but Graham, anything to add there?
We do have the capability to go live. We just don't do it because of cost constraints. So, I mean, I think probably a year ago, all of our tables were on 30-minute lags. We back that up to a couple hours. Most of our clients aren't typically interested in anything that's like super live. And so we basically just backed it up. But we do have Live Query, which is like a tool for custom querying API data, or you could plug in RPC nodes directly into that to get information live directly from a call. Our agent should at least soon be have access to that, so you can feed it a custom API endpoint or anything like that, and it should be able to return real-time data as well.
So if I want to like build a tool on RWA synthetic stocks, can it be done? Like, can I use this APIs of like Flipside?
In theory, yes, but it probably wouldn't be the fastest tool. You'd probably be better off building up your own custom framework if you wanted to do live trading. It's like stretching the boundaries of what the tool is intended to do, but it can technically do that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
And by the way, speaking of your customers, Adam and Graham, my understanding is that ultimately this is very useful for community managers or BD folks at protocols who are ultimately trying to engage with end users. So is this tool in any way also suggesting what kind of engagement they can drive, or what kind of journeys or quests they can actually generate based off of the data to drive more user activity, the right kind of user activity for the protocols?
Yeah, Graham,
Yes.
you want to take that one?
Yeah, definitely. We, in building this agentic system, we initially were framing it as a way for our clients to be able to interact with an agent and be able to build out custom quests or journeys or user flows for on-chain activation. We've done a lot of research on it. I think behind the kind of behind the scenes there, we've built out a custom user scoring system. So it's like a 0 to 15, similar to like a FICO score or something like that, where it rates every user's on-chain behavior based on 15 to 20 different categories of actions they can take on-chain. Some modeling behind that, and then we give them a score. So if you want to target high-valued agents or users, we know what protocols they interact with. We know what tokens they swap. We know what their volumes are, what days they're more active, things like that. So asking it, hey, if I want to target, 4 ups, 8 pluses, anything like that, I'm really interested in DeFi activity, and I want to highlight this new token that came on chain. It has the capability to identify those users, what they're doing, and then kind of build something out. It can also be super vague, like, I don't really know what I want, but I want to highlight DeFi. It can also say, hey, this DeFi protocol was a protocol that was interacted with more frequently by higher scored users. Like, better users on chain tend to go to this platform versus this other one, and they tend to use this token. So we recommend, this path. It's basically probabilistic on, what good users do versus, bots and everything else. But it has access to that, and it was, originally kind of trained on some of that data. But yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's great. We are 2 minutes over, but if Adam, you and Graham have more time, and if we have more questions from folks on this call, perhaps we can take a few more questions. So guys, anything else we'd like to learn about Flipside and the tool? It seems like we're at the end of our questions as well. So I think with that, thank you so much, Adam and Graham. It was a wonderful talk. Got to learn about Flipside's AI tool. It was great to learn about it. And best of luck to you guys for taking it through the next cycles and making it more useful for your end customers. Thank you so much for taking out the time.
Yes, thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.